Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming. We are here to celebrate the latest recognition for Vision RT, and I'm really pleased that so many of the staff of Vision RT are here to be part of that, because when we look at who helped make this company what it is the staff. And so it's a way of saying thank you to you all, as well as recognising this very significant award. I'm Peter Ellis. I should introduce myself. I'm the chairman of Vision RT. Also be interested to have a number of our board members and shareholders here, because we just had our annual general meeting. So they've had a little bit of a preview of what's been happening here. But this is an exciting year. It has been. We won an award earlier this year as the best private company for technology and innovation. We have had a very successful year financially. And also we're now going to be recognised in an even more superb way. So I'm going to introduce the various participants. We've got a selection of people who understand what our business has done, both from the technical point of view but equally as important from a patient perspective. So we'll be hearing from various people over the course of the next hour. So firstly, I'd like to ask David Landau to join us. Oh, David, there you are. Sorry. And David's going to give you a bit of an overview of the capabilities of Vision RT. Thank you, David.
Deputy Lieutenant, ladies and gentlemen, it's an enormous honour and pleasure, and to be here, to have been asked to speak. And if I give you perspectives from a physician, it just means that I'm a physician and these are my perspectives. So just I can't let the opportunity go by without saying that it was, I think, really four of us. I'm trying to remember where Dave Hawkes fits in as well, probably quite early on, but certainly Gideon, Norman and Ivan and myself have been involved right from the beginning, and I like to claim perhaps a larger share than I ought to in terms of the seed ideas of taking this technology into radiotherapy. But the main point really is that this is an area where, if one would outline the risks beforehand, the risks would be, why does a small company think that they can go into an area of technology that is led by absolute giants with millions and billions of pounds, and we're competing with them in a space that we have no right to compete in. And it says so much for the team, which has grown with quality people all the way around. And I think that the fact that you've achieved in the business and innovatively and in trade and in selling the units internationally, there is no competition on the market really. You've got an area which is extremely important, as we'll discuss in a second, and the success of these two Queen's Awards is stunning, and I'm extremely proud to be associated with you, so congratulations for that. Just very quickly, because I've almost used up my 2 or 3 minutes, which is what Norman gave me to speak about, just to quickly say that this not from my perspective, but from a purely physician's perspective, is a very important piece of kit, and it's increasingly so. That the ways in which we use it are increasing, and it's becoming more and more a stock in trade for some of the best radiotherapy centres. I'm very proud that my centre of Guy's and St Thomas's was the very first one to have a full unit commercially in the UK, and I say we, speaking on behalf of Angela and Tony who are here, the institution has hosted many visitors who come to see the technology, and glad to say we've been involved. I think we had one of the first presentations at Astro as well. But the technology is phenomenally reassuring that we can do safe radiotherapy in a time where it's becoming much, much more sophisticated. We're doing potentially extremely dangerous procedures that require millimetre or sub-millimetre precision, and the technology that the Vision RT gives us the comfort and the patients the safety that we can do fantastic new treatments in a way that reassures everybody that it's completely safe and demonstrably and documentably safe. So we've taken a massive step forward, and I'm extremely proud. I don't really want to go into the clinical indications and all that sort of stuff, or I'll be here all day. And I think you'll hear a little bit more from a lady who's been involved more directly than I have anyway. But really, just to say, it's a phenomenal achievement. It's an absolutely fantastic product, and I'm very, very proud to be associated with you. Thank you very much indeed.
As I mentioned a little earlier, the proof of the pudding of what we do is obviously what it does for patients, and we have a belief and a commitment that we are the standard of care and the definitive standard of care in radiotherapy treatment. And I think there's no better way of referencing whether we're helping to achieve that goal than ask one of a patient who's been treated using the technology to speak. So we're very, very fortunate to have Alison with us, Alison Young, who has had experience of treatment using the Vision RT technology, and Alison's just going to say a few words. So thank you, Alison.
Deputy Lieutenant, ladies and gentlemen, my cat knew first. A cat that was typically distant, somewhat aloof, had become attentive and affectionate, glued to me like a shadow. Waking up in the middle of the night, he was there every time, curled up right next to me. I put it down to the fact that he was getting older, but no, he knew. It's not unusual to hear that pets know that their owner has cancer or some other illness before the owner knows. I'm sure we've all heard of the woman whose dog kept nuzzling her breast. She went to the doctor. Sure enough, she had breast cancer. She got it in time and lived to tell the tale. But I know of a different story of animals. This is also true, and it's about the cat who lived in the nursing home when my own grandmother had lived. This cat always seemed to know who was going to die next. It would hang around the person who was close to passing until the death had taken place. Then it would fade into the background and reappear at the appropriate moment to be company for the next person whose death was imminent, whether they knew it or not. At the time of my diagnosis last September, I wondered and indeed worried, was my cat the portent of death, like the cat in the nursing home? Or the early warning sign for treatment and survival? Only time would tell. It's a Friday evening in October last year, my favourite evening of the week when I kick back after a hard week's work and just chill with my son. As I look at him, I think, dear son, I haven't told you yet about all the tests I'm having to figure out what type of cancer I've got and where it's got to. I am going to, I promise, but only when I have something tangible to tell you. I'm due to hear this coming week the details of my treatment plan, so this will be our last Friday night unaffected by it all. This is an excerpt from an email I sent to my team at work a few days later that week. Dear lovely team, so I think you know, I was back at the hospital again this afternoon. I tell you, that place is so familiar now that I know my way around it with my eyes shut. The nurses are already greeting me with, "Hi, good to see you, how's things?" It's beginning to feel like home from home, the new normal. So I have a bit of a plan now. They want to do 6 months of chemotherapy first, then surgery, and then possibly radiotherapy. The addition of the word possibly preceding radio is a new and welcome addition. Personally, I would like to add the word possibly before the word surgery, but I suspect that's a bit of a long shot despite the fact that it is statistically possible. Thank you for all your amazing text messages and other messages. You are the best. So there we have it. Another big piece of news today, and I wanted you to know just how it all landed. See you tomorrow, Alison. The next day, it's Friday evening again, and the time has come for me to tell my son about my breast cancer. I pour myself a large glass of wine and join him in the living room as he plays the latest game on his computer. Will you come and play with me, Mum? Yeah, sure, but can I talk to you about something first? Uh-huh. And so the conversation unfolds, with me at first using what I think is age-appropriate language for an 8-year-old, but he remains glued to his computer screen. And then I use the words chemotherapy and cancer. For the first time, he takes his eyes away from the computer and looks at me. Will you die? I reassure him that breast cancer is the best one to get. It's so well researched, and the treatments are so much more sophisticated these days. Our conversation continues between the practical that only 8-year-olds can ask about and the esoteric, until I say, "Is there anything else you want to know?" "No." "Will you come and play with me now?" Fast forward to May this year. Chemotherapy, tick. Double mastectomy, tick. Full lymph clearance one side, lymph biopsy the other side, tick, tick. I am moving on with incredible support from my son, my friends, wonderful nursing staff, and 2 amazing physiotherapists. I found out during the surgery back in March this year that the chemo hadn't been as successful as we had thought, and so the radiotherapy has moved from being possible to absolutely definite. It's now time for my radiotherapy induction. Radiographer, to me. Did anyone mention that we might need you to hold your breath during radiotherapy treatment? Me. No. Radiographer. Oh. Well, we might need you to hold your breath during radiotherapy treatment. Oh, okay. My first radio treatment over, I do a Facebook post accompanied by a photo of an imposing Georgian house in the Facebook group I created to support me through this long journey. And here's how it read. Who would know that behind this grand and innocuous-looking frontage lurks a huge hospital complex, yes, complex, including a laser machine that would not have looked out of place in The Man with the Golden Gun? Well, that's where I was today, holding my breath to save my heart, literally. The expanded lungs move the heart away from the chest wall. It's clever, huh? The treatment included having a cold, heavy, hot water bottle-like pack, did I mention it was really cold, across my chest, which made the above-mentioned expansion of lungs a tad more challenging. But that's 1 radiotherapy treatment down, only 14 to go, 7 of which will be without the cold, hot water bottle. Hurrah! Simples. The only downside I can foresee, apart from the galloping tiredness and the soreness I've been promised, is that the local Coluccio's cafe have an early morning offer for only £2 of a coffee and a 6,000 calorie pastry. Imagine the effect of that after 15 days. That's where holding my breath as I walk by may be just as useful. In all seriousness, and Facebook posts aside, I do consider myself to be so lucky to have access to such wonderful treatment based on the latest research. Knowing that my heart wasn't at risk as I lay there each day with my arms hoisted above my head was incredibly reassuring. The technique of moving a bar on a screen with your breath so that you know that you have just the right amount of air in your lungs, whether or not you have a cold, heavy bolus lying on top of you, is simplicity itself. And what I've since realised is that with the breath-holding technique made more accessible by these talented folks at Vision RT, I could afford to have radiotherapy as extensive and as aggressive as my aggressive cancer needed it to be. There was no need to compromise on the efficacy of the treatment. So what's next for me? I have another 4 months of chemotherapy tablets to go, but good news, I get to keep my hair this time. And then I have a smaller follow-up surgery at the end of the year. Back at home, my cat continues to be loving and affectionate, but I feel the intensity of his gaze a little less. I hope so.
We now have a special guest representing Her Majesty the Queen, Leslie Morgan, who is a officer of the British Empire and is the Deputy Lieutenant for London, Greater London. So he's here to present on behalf of the Queen the rewards. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be here to share with you this very special day for Vision RT and to join you in celebrating your 2 Queen's Award for Enterprise, a distinction you have won for your outstanding contribution to international trade as well as innovation, and to present you with your awards on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen. What is remarkable is that Vision RT is one of only 6 companies in the UK to have won both awards this year. I was very pleased to have visited your offices last week and to have met Dr. Norman Smith as well as other members of the team. What is so special about the Queen's Award is that it is a distinction that you all worked for and achieved together as a team. And it is a distinction, I may say, because these awards are greatly sought after and sparingly given. In fact, you are one of only 17 companies in the whole of Greater London to have won the prestigious Award for International Trade in 2016, and one of only 9 companies in London to have won the Award for Innovation. And in doing so, you have won for your company even further recognition and prestige than your outstanding record already commands. And displaying the Queen's Award emblem demonstrates to the world your ability to meet the highest standard of excellence, standards which are central to the United Kingdom's competitiveness and prosperity. The conditions for success in this category of award are very demanding. When the panel meets to consider recommendation, they look for a substantial and sustained increase in international trade, resulting in significant growth in overseas earnings and in commercial success over not less than 3 years, to a level which is outstanding for the products or services concerned. What counts is the extent to which export achievement, and for the Innovation Award, a new innovation, which results in substantial improvement in business performance, which, when examined objectively against strict criteria, turns out to be head and shoulders above the rest. Put another way, such achievements have to be striking. Your record reflected just such a success, and I congratulate you all for the work you have done in making these results possible. And so, in recognition of your outstanding performance in the vital area of international trade and also in innovation, the Queen has been graciously pleased to grant her awards to Vision RT. As you can see, or you will see in a moment, there are 2 fine pieces of crystal which, on behalf of Her Majesty, I have great pleasure in presenting. Firstly, the International Trade Award to your President and CEO, Dr. Norman Smith. Now, the Innovation Award to Dr. Ivan Mir. And the scroll for the Queen's Award for Enterprise in International Trade and the scroll for Innovation I present to Mr. Gideon Hale.
I just want to say a quick word before handing over to Norman to finish the day. It is, I think, to me, one of the things that was quite a bit of stepping back into the past was to see the photo of Norman's in-laws' attic, which is where I first met Norman and Ivan some 14, 15 years ago. And I think it's a mark of their efforts and Gideon's efforts and all of you that has taken us to where we are today. It's not been the smoothest of journeys. There were months where we weren't quite sure whether the payroll would be met, but those days are behind us, and it's good to see so many friends, new and old, who were part of that journey, who've supported it at the board level, as investors, and of course as staff. So, but really we have to acknowledge Norman's leadership throughout this. I think he's a modest chap, as you probably know, but I think we deserve a lot to his perseverance and sustaining the long run to take us here and enjoying this success that we so rightly deserve. So Norman, over to you. But thank you, and say the last few words.
Deputy Lieutenant, colleagues, friends and family, thank you for joining us today on this very special occasion. I would also like to extend special thanks to my colleagues at Vision RT who worked tirelessly in planning this event, to Creativa, Litka Caterers, Levco Marquees and the team at Stephen's House. Before I begin my formal remarks, I would like to share a short story that I heard recently from my uncle. A few hundred years ago, in a small village somewhere in Eastern Europe, the rabbi of the Jewish community was once walking very purposefully on his daily trek to the synagogue when he met the local policeman who greeted him and asked him where he was going. The rabbi replied that he did not know. The policeman repeated his question several times, but kept receiving the same answer, "I don't know." After a while, the policeman lost his temper, and he said to the rabbi that if he wouldn't give him a straight answer, he'd arrest him. He asked the rabbi one more time, "Well, where are you going?" He said, "I don't know." So before he knew it, the rabbi found himself locked up in the local jail. After a few hours, the policeman calmed down and began to regret his fairly extreme actions. He therefore went over to the police cell, apologized to the rabbi, and said that he would be releasing him. Before letting him go, the policeman asked the rabbi why he wouldn't give him a straight answer to a very straightforward question. The rabbi responded, and he said, "The truth is, I really didn't know where I was going in the morning. You see, I thought I was going to the synagogue, but instead I ended up here in jail." When Vision RT was established in 2001, we had almost no funds and no resources, minimal support from the scientific and medical community, with the exception of our good friend David Landau and Dave Hawkes here today, and a few others. No track record, and little going for us other than some good ideas and technical expertise. Whilst we hoped to develop a product that would eventually be sold into the radiotherapy market, the numerous challenges and obstacles regularly facing us often seemed insurmountable. We certainly never envisaged nor dared to believe that we would be standing here today, 15 years later, celebrating the successes and achievements of Vision RT as we know it today. Employing over 110 people in the UK, US and Europe, with over 700 systems sold worldwide and 37 of the top 50 cancer centers in the US employing our products clinically, our technology is on its way to becoming the standard of care in surface-guided radiotherapy cancer treatment. The truth is that the success of Vision RT has been a result of more contributors than I could possibly mention in the time available. However, I would like to express my thanks to the following individuals who have been particularly pivotal to our success. Firstly, I would like to thank Dr. David Landau, not just for his kind words this afternoon, but more importantly, for introducing me and Ivan to the world of radiotherapy around 16 years ago. Dr. Landau invited us then to visit the Royal Marsden Hospital where he was doing a research fellowship. It was there that we began to discover the huge potential of applying 3D tracking technology to solve some major problems in radiotherapy. Dr. Landau has continued to provide us with advice and support throughout the last 15 years, for which we are very grateful. Thank you to co-founder Dr. Ivan Mir, our CTO, for taking the plunge with me into the unknown 15 years ago, and for his continued technical inspiration and outstanding innovation. Thank you too to Mr. Calms, an experienced businessman who gave us the confidence, encouragement, and support to set up the company back in 2001. Unfortunately, Peter is away at the moment. He's at the wedding of a grandchild, but we thank him anyway. I would also like to thank Gideon Hale, who collaborated closely with us from the outset and then joined forces when he came to Vision RT in 2003 as our Vice President of Operations. Gideon has been an exceptional contributor, the brain behind all hardware developments and inventions at Vision RT, together with Pete Hansen, and has been the driving force behind our manufacturing function, now based at Ramsdell in Hampshire. We were introduced to our chairman, Peter Ellis, around a year after the company's inception. He assisted us with establishing the corporate structure of our business, gaining access to professional advisors and fundraising. Thank you, Peter, for your continued support, and to our other non-executive directors, Arthur Kay, Jack Coates, and Michael Stauffer, who also represents the interests of our principal shareholders. On that note, I would like to thank all our shareholders who have invested in Vision RT in many cases repeatedly, in particular during the critical formative years when our future was somewhat in the balance. We have been extremely fortunate to collaborate with many of the leading cancer clinics and academic groups around the world, and this has been a key ingredient in our success. I would like to pay particular tribute to Professor George Chen, former head of radiation physics at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, now retired. Ivan and I were introduced to Professor Chen back in 2003, at a time when many of his peers were dismissive of our technology. He had the foresight to embrace our product and introduce it to the clinic. MGH published both technical and clinical data within a few months of the installation of our system, and that really put us on the map and gave us the credibility to move to the next level. Although he is unable to join us today, as he lives in the US, George did send us a special greeting for this occasion, which has been included in the souvenir brochures provided. I believe that Vision RT's greatest asset is our really excellent team. We have been very fortunate to recruit a very talented and dedicated group of individuals with a common purpose and commitment to achieving the company's goals. I'm particularly delighted to be joined by so many colleagues here today from both our Finchley and Ramsdale offices. We are also indebted to our equally committed and able overseas staff in the US and Europe, most of whom are unable to attend this event in person, but who share and achieve our vision. Thank you all for your outstanding work and contributions. I'm very pleased to see with us today some of our professional advisors, consultants, suppliers, collaborators, and partners. You have all provided us with invaluable services for which we are very grateful. On a personal note, I would like to thank my family, many of whom are here today, for their wide-ranging support and for tolerating the various disruptions and work emergencies over the years. We are very privileged to live in the UK, a country which values and encourages industry and entrepreneurialism, and are delighted and honoured to be one of only 6 companies in the country to have won 2 Queen's Awards. I would especially like to thank Deputy Lieutenant Mr. Leslie Morgan, OBE, for taking time from his busy schedule to present these awards to us today on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen. Finally, thank you to Alison for your very moving words earlier. We really appreciate you joining us today and sharing your personal experience. I hope any final treatments go to plan and that you enjoy many, many years of good health. Hearing from a patient who has recently undergone radiotherapy whilst benefiting from our product really puts what we do into perspective. This provides us with the impetus to continue pursuing our goal of establishing the standard of care for surface-guided radiotherapy cancer treatment. Thank you all again for playing a part in making today a reality, and please enjoy the rest of this evening as we celebrate this very special occasion.